All right, guys, welcome to part two on the wheel project. So last class and while you guys were present in school, we got to this part, okay? So double checking, this all these curves are joined up, so they're open curves, but they were really made up. If I wanted to see what they were made up with, I could explode them, and you can see that this one was made from three separate curves. So I'm going to undo and then bring it back to being joined. Just so you can see two, I can try to explode this curve, and it says cannot explode a single curve segments, because this was a conic curve that we never did anything to it. So it's just a single curve segment that can't be exploded. Okay, so what we're going to do now is make I call them dishes, that we're going to get these two surfaces created so that we can then use these curves to trim out that surface to create the beginning surfaces for these spokes. Okay, remember in Rhino, we use curves to create surfaces and solids. That's generally the workflow that works well in the software. So I want to double click on front to get back into my four viewports. Okay, and I could see here that this is all I have. It's just a flat bunch of curves. I'm going to take my layers, and I have a curve layer. I'm going to now take this red layer, and I'm going to call it spider spoke surfaces. Okay. So these look like spiders, like a spider web, and so I'll call these spider spokes. I'm going to activate it by putting a check mark in it. And what I'm going to do is I have to make this, it's kind of like a dish here that I'm going to spin, I'm going to revolve. So I'll show you how it looks. So I'm going to take a control point curve, make sure grid snap is on, because I want to work on this right here. And so I'm going to start like right about here, and I'm going to come out, I'm going to be looking generally at this area right here. I'll take that mid snap off and intersection man snap off. But I'm going to look right about here. I guess that's a good spot. And I'm going to start coming down and doing this lazy S. And I want to make sure that I end this curve either at the same distance of this black line or a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go at the same distance. Okay, right click. So this is just like a lazy S. Okay, and you can see it back here, right over there. And I'm going to now do a curve offset curve again. So I'm going to go to curve, offset curve, offset curve. The distance is, I think we had done 0.75 here for this one. So I'm going to see what 0.75 looks like by clicking on the word distance, offsetting it up. Okay, I think I like that. I think that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is going to take a line, polyline, and make it come, I guess like right over here. Again, I'm looking at this spot, okay, and I'll make it come right to here. And I'm going to make another line like this, okay? So I'm just picking a spot here, and I'm going to try and trim. Cutting objects is this. Objects to trim is this. Enter. I'm going to delete this line. And then I'm going to do what's called another curve blend curve. So let's see if I can do this. Curve, blend curve, quick curve blend. All right, that looks pretty good. So I was trying to make a flat area in the back of the wheel for this hub area. This is always a little bit tricky. We'll see how it looks. I may have to tweak it. So this is still three different line segments. I'm going to join them up, So 1, 2, 3. Join is the puzzle piece. Select curves to join. I'm done joining, so I'm going to hit enter. And it says 3 curves join into one open curve. And now what I'm going to do is revolve these 2 curves. So surface, revolve. It says select curves to revolve. It's going to be this one and this one. Enter. Start of revolve axis. I'm in my top view. I'm going to revolve from here to here. My start angle is 0 degrees. So that's good. Enter. Revolution angle of 360 is good also. Enter. I didn't move my mouse or anything. I just was reading what was up here. And I still can't tell what I made, so I'm going to right-click on perspective and go to a shaded display. I'll right-click in the other views to do the same thing. Now I see that I have these 2 dishes. Those 2 curves revolve to make these 2 dishes. Okay? And if all goes as planned, when I go to trim, I should be able to have some nice looking spoke surfaces. Okay? So I'm going to go trim, cutting objects is going to be this curve and this curve. All right, I'll do one more, this one also. Enter. Whoops. Let's try this again. Trim, cutting objects is this, this, and this. Enter. Select objects to trim. I must have had something pre-selected. This one and this one. Okay, so I just used, you have to do this in your front view. If you do it in your perspective, you're going to miss and you're going to wind up deleting some of your surfaces. Usually kids will trim, they'll wind up trimming out this entire rear surface. Okay, so keep an eye on it in the right side view. So
Pardon the interruption.
let me pause this.
Please use all even numbered classrooms on the first floor. At this time, all even numbered classrooms on the first.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. So trim again here. 1, 2. Trim again here. Sometimes this is 4 pieces because the revolve started and it ended. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm done trimming. Enter. I'm going to repeat by right-clicking, and I'll looking that it looks like it's working out pretty good. Okay, notice I'm selecting this curve outside of the circle. If you go like this, you risk.
At this time, please release all odd number classrooms on the first floor. All odd number classrooms on the first floor, please be released.
You risk clicking on the surface instead of the curves. If you click on something that you didn't intend to, you can hold down Control and click and it unselects it. So again, I'll go here. Let's see if I can get the selection menu. I'll click like right over here. Let's see. All right, so here's the selection menu I want to show you. This is telling me that there's a lot of things in that one area that I clicked in 3D space. So it says, do you want to click on this curve?
At this time, please release all even numbered classrooms on the second floor. Again, all even numbered classrooms on the second floor may be released.
And then this curve or this curve. So I want to trim with this curve, okay? And I'll do one more. And enter. Okay. Select objects to trim. This one and this one. This one and this one. I'm reading up here. Select objects to trim. This one and this one. Okay. And then enter.
Finally, at this time, please release all students. Again, release all students. Everyone have a great afternoon.
Okay. We will. So now I have my spider spokes. Okay. And if I do a full-size perspective, I could see, I think it looks pretty good. Okay. Little funky right here, but I think it looks good. So my model is getting a little cluttered because I have all these curves and surfaces. So what I'm going to do right now is these 2 curves right here. I'm going to click on one, hold down Shift for multiple selection. It's the opposite. I know like in Windows, it's Control click, but it's Shift in Rhino. And then these 2 curves, if you look at them, they're red. So they're currently in the spider spoke surface layer. I'm going to just make this window a little bit bigger so we can read it. I want to move them into my curve layer. So I'm going to click on this and this. I'm going to go to their properties. It tells me they are two open curves and they're currently in spider spoke surface layer. I would like to move them into curves. Okay, now when I click anywhere in empty gray, they are now black. What that will allow me to do is if I click on this light bulb, I can hide the curve layer. All right, so here my model is kind of cleaned up, my layers are cleaned up. Now what we have to do is get a surface to go in between this gap here. We need to close this out. So I'm going to go back to 4 viewports by double-clicking on perspective. And we're going to do what's called a surface blend surface. This is a pretty cool tool. This is actually a pretty complex surface to blend. Mine may be a little bit wavy. So it says select segment for first edge. So I'm going to be in my perspective, and I'm going to get this top edge of the outer surface right there. Boom. And I got lucky, went all the way around. Okay. Now it says select segment, next segment for first edge. So I'll do this one right here. All right. That was pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to hit enter. And I could see these kind of arches coming off of both sides. I'm going to do same height and preview so that I could see what the preview looks like. Now, we don't want that. We don't want them hitting each other. If I lock the padlock and slide the slider down, usually to 0.25, it gives me something acceptable. I like that. That looks good. So hit enter, and I accept it. Okay, so that's the tight V right here. Now I'm going to do this one that had the 3-piece blended curve. So let's try this one. So again, surface, blend surface, select segment for first edge. I'll do this top corner right here. Okay, I got one nice long curve. Select next segment for first edge will be this one. Okay, and it says press enter when done. So hit enter. Okay, and that was pretty cool. It remembered what my input was, and with the preview function, I think that's pretty good. So I'll hit OK. All right. So that's looking pretty good. Now, I could go and do that operation for all of these, but I could also just polar array them. So don't forget, when you polar array, you have to think about what view is the array going to look like the numbers on a clock. So it's the front view here where a polar array would work. If I tried to do it in this view, okay, polar array, center of polar array, and I was like, well, it's going to be the origin, the center here. Number of items is going to be 5, 360. You could see that it's arraying them in the top view. Okay, they're all around here. That is not what we want. So I'm going to hit escape, and you want to polar array in the front view. So let's start nice and slow. Polar array. Select objects to array. I want to array this blended surface and this blended surface. Enter. Center of polar array. Okay. Is the origin. Number of items 5. Let's see if I have 5 spokes. I forgot. Whoops. Angle to fill our first reference point, 360. Enter. Okay, that looks good. Press enter to accept. Okay. Let's check this out in my perspective. I think that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I have this pretty complex surface that's made up of all these individual surfaces. What you need to do is join these up with each other so that if by mistake you move it, you don't do this. This is really annoying if you start like shifting things and then they get all wishy-washy. So I'm going to undo my move, undo my move. Everything's looking good. So nice and easy, since it's a good, clean surface. I'm going to select everything first and then hit join. Okay, and it says here 12 surfaces or polysurfaces joined into one open polysurface. Okay, if I try to join the other way, I'd have to click on everything and I'll probably wind up missing stuff. Okay, so you don't want to do that. Select everything first and then hit the join button. Okay, let me just see how long that video was. I'm going to pause. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's save this. Okay, and I would like to make a new layer. I'll call this wide spokes. Okay, these wide spokes are going to be a little bit of a repeat of the spider spokes. We're going to use some of the same curves to make them, and it'll just add an additional layer of these like wide fan spokes. So I have to turn on the original curve layer back on, and I need to look at which curves do I want to have a fan on. So do I want a fan spoke peeking behind these two or these two? I'm thinking behind these two because I think it may just look better. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to activate wide spokes. I'm going to do a curve, offset, and I'm going to offset at 1/2 inch. Let's see what that looks like. This curve right here. I'm going to offset it outwards. Okay, so it's pretty pointy. It's not going to look good right there. So if I were to take this and explode it, I now have 2 segments. Is it possible for me to do what's called fillet? So a fillet is a rounded corner. So we want to do fillet curves because this is a curve. We want to see if we can round it. So fillet curves. To select the first curve to fillet, the radius is 0.1. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think we need a radius of like 0.5 or 0.75. Let's see. First curve to fillet. Okay. That's pretty cool. I think I could definitely go smaller. So I'm going to undo. I'm going to redo. I'm going to change the radius to 0.25. 1, 2. All right, I like that. So this is now 3 curves. I'll join them up. And then I'll polar array this. Center of polar array, right here. Number of items 5. Okay, 360, and accept. Okay, cool. So I now have these, and you can see that in between these are where my wide spokes are going to be. Okay, and so now in my top view, I just need to make 2 almost flat curves so that I can revolve these. So I'm going to take one right here, and I'm going to make sure that I end. I don't like that curve. Let me try to redo that. Okay, I think it's okay. Let me try that again. I like this one better. Okay, I'm going to offset this. Curve, offset, offset. So that's only a 1/2 inch offset. Change the distance to 0.75. That looks great. Okay, so let's spin this dish. We're going to revolve this dish. Surface, revolve. 1, 2. Revolve axis, start. End of revolve axis. Start angle of 0. Revolution angle of 360. Okay. And I'm going to hide the black layer and start trimming. Trim. Cutting objects is this. Okay. Objects to trim. 1, 2, 4. Enter. Okay, and then we have to do a blend surface. Surface, blend surface. Select segment for first edge. Select segment for second edge. Okay, enter. Lock it. 0.25. Inspect it. I think it looks good. Enter. Okay, almost done for the day, guys. Now we're going to polar array this. So it's selected. I feel a bit more confident. I'm going to just polar array. Center polar array. So 5 items is already selected. 360 is good. And then accept. Okay. Let's join these surfaces. All right, guys, I'm going to save this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next class.